Good morning. My name is Lucille LePage. Excuse me. I'm today's worship associate. This congregation has been meeting for worship here for more than 240 years. As a welcoming congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, we welcome here the full inclusion of all people, including all sexual orientations and gender expressions. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your life journey, and whether you are joining us in person or on YouTube, we are so happy that you are here with us this morning. A special welcome to visitors and first-time attendees. Just a few announcements for you before the service begins. The flowers today are given by Christine Swanson and Catherine, I don't remember her last name. Thank you very much. If anyone would like to give flowers any Sunday for the church service, they're very, very welcome. You can give them in honor or in memory of someone or something. But thank you for these spectacular tulips this morning, Christine and Catherine. The annual canvass is underway during the month of May. Please read the canvass letter that was mailed to you and talk with your friendly canvasser or with friendly Roger Garberg, and then sign and return your pledge card, and then plan to celebrate with us here on June 1st with Causeway Chowder, salad, and cake. The next book group meeting will be on Tuesday, June 3rd at 3 p.m., and the book is American Nations by Colin Woodard. If you'd like to get in touch with Reverend Janet or learn more about church life, please fill out one of the yellow cards on the backs of the pews. You can then drop the yellow card into the collection plate at the offertory. And we hope that everyone will come to coffee hour downstairs right after the service. We'd love to spend time with old friends and get acquainted with new ones. There's much more about these announcements and other news about our church community in the newsletter that's emailed to you every Friday. You're strongly encouraged to read these announcements so you can keep up to date about what's happening in your church. If you're not receiving the weekly newsletter, just contact Christine in the church office on a weekday so that she can add you to the mailing list. If you're watching from home, we encourage you to take a minute now to get a candle or chalice and matches ready so you can join us when we light the chalice here shortly after the service starts. This morning, we're delighted to welcome back to our pulpit the Reverend Wendy Page, who will lead today's service, as she has done at least twice in the past. Reverend Page is a graduate of Andover Newton Theological School, where she met Reverend Janet Parsons. Reverend Page is serving as a hospice chaplain in Eastern Massachusetts. She also serves as a per diem chaplain at Mass General Hospital. Previous to her ministry, Wendy was a software engineer and manager. She's an avid cyclist and has participated for 25 years in the annual Pan Mass Challenge fundraiser for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. She's also a quilter, a gardener, and loves to sing. A very warm welcome to you. And now, today's service will begin.
Welcome this sunny spring morning. Welcome if this is your first or second or 200th time here. Welcome if you're sleepy or woke up full of energy. Welcome if you ache or you feel fantastic. Welcome if you carry sadness or personal worries or worries about the state of our world and the country. Welcome if you carry joy this morning. Welcome if you're young or not so young. Welcome all to this gathering for an hour together in person or online. We are glad you are here. Our call to worship are the good words by Michelle LaGrave. We come to religious community from many paths with diverse needs. If you have come here seeking comfort, may your pain be soothed. If you have come here looking for answers, may you find new questions. If you have come here seeking purpose, may your call be awakened. If you have come here hoping to build a new way, may the path open before you. Please join in singing our first hymn in the gray hymnal, number 39, Bring, O Morn, Thy Music.
Please be seated. In the Unitarian Universalist faith tradition, we enter into worship by lighting our chalice. If you have a candle or chalice prepared at home, please light it with us now. The words of the affirmation are printed in your order of service. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. Each week, we also light a candle for peace.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of light and love, mystery of many names and no name, be with us today. Let us breathe in your calm and peace. We give thanks for the life of spring bursting around us, the myriad greens, the scent of flowers, the glorious colors. In this unsettled time, help us to take a moment to see the beauty around us and to say thank you for that beauty, for our loved ones, for being alive this day, for the simple joys of life. Give us the strength and courage to stand up for what is right and just, and to give aid to those more vulnerable than we are, especially trans folk, those who are in transition and undocumented, those with darker skin, those dependent on government services that are disappearing. Help us to be brave even as we are heartsick, scared, and depressed about the state of our world and the country. Be with those in places around the world in active conflict, the Ukraine, Gaza, Myanmar, the Sudan, and other places. May they be comforted and safe. Companion us in our days and show us the way to companion others, to have open eyes and ears and hearts to the needs of others. Help us to be your hands doing good in this world. And as we enter quiet meditation, may we be open to your still, quiet voice. Amen. I'd now like to invite Peter Hornbeck to come forward for a... Could you stand closer to the mic? Oh, I am sorry. How's that? Okay. Even closer. That better? Okay. Okay. Got it.
I'll have to kneel. Well, I was asked to give a brief talk about why I give, and I think, of course, why I give depends upon why am I here, and why am I here? I wasn't a churchgoer since I was forced to go to church by my parents. I was forced to go to church by my parents in... Okay. Sorry, can everyone hear me? Yes. Thank you. Would you like to use? No, this is just fine. Thank you. I have not been a churchgoer since childhood when I was a ward of my parents. And I became anti-church during the Vietnam War when the church that I went to in Kentucky was apparently pro-war, and I had been arrested opposing the war. And I never set foot in a church service again. But then, in in 2018 or 19, I had been on a plane and I sat with going to Washington, D.C. to promote in Congress a constitutional amendment to do away with the terrible effects of Citizens United. I sat next to the head of the UUSC, and that was my first direct interaction with a Universalist Unitarian, and I was quite impressed by UU. Then, because of the Trump election and the need for myself, I was now retiring from science and music, the need to find a community that thought as I did and believed strongly in peace and social cohesion and morality, that I came to this wonderful old church. So there were two things that drew me to this church and why I support it. First was the nature of the community, the people here, and the goals, who I think I view all of my fellow parishioners as pilgrims on the road to understanding or appreciating the great mystery of the universe and loving one another, love as opposed to the craziness of the world we live in. And then the second reason is this wonderful old church. I just love it. I have loved it since I came to Gloucester. And for those reasons, I support it, and I really hope and wish for the best future for this church. And so thank you for listening, for my rambling address. Louder?
Thank you, Peter.
Now, to support the work of this church and all its ministries, the morning offering will be received, gratefully received. Blessings on you and your gifts. Thank you.
Okay, let's do a little sound check. That okay? Okay, thank you. On a warm June day, a 58-year-old man with 2 young children back at home went for a walk with his wife through the woods. He had abdominal pain, but didn't realize he was experiencing a pancreatic aneurysm. He didn't even know that a pancreatic aneurysm existed. His wife, Barbara, helped him stagger back to their house, called for an ambulance, and insisted he go to the hospital, even though he said he felt better. They were living at the tip of Cape Cod, and it was almost an hour ride to the Hyannis Hospital. On the way, the medics gave him IVs. At the hospital, he got an emergency CT scan and was sent to the operating room. There were 2 surgeons on duty that day, and they realized he was the sickest person by far in the hospital, so they both worked on the patient. They knew he was bleeding massively into his abdomen, but where? As the surgeons struggled to figure out how to stop the blood flow, the patient was in and out of consciousness. He saw his father, who had died 8 years before, hovering above him and saying to him, "It's okay, there's nothing to be scared of. Don't fight it, I'll take care of you." That patient was Sebastian Junger, author of A Perfect Storm. He lived through his near-death experience and wrote a book about the ordeal called In My Time of Dying: How I Came Face to Face with the Idea of an Afterlife. We are all gonna die. Every single one of us here in this service today will no longer be alive in 100 years. Most of us will die much sooner than that. That is the hard truth. Most of us, but the opposite side of that truth is we're all alive today. There are adventures to experience, meals with loved ones to savor, conversations to share, time in nature to relax. We can appreciate living. That is the gift of our mortality, realizing that time and connection and conversations and experiences are finite and precious. I've spent the last decade training to be and working as a hospital and hospice chaplain. I've been privileged to accompany people in some of the hardest moments in their lives, and I have learned much from them. Facing death and losing someone you love is hard, but denying it is harder. There is more fear, more pain, less control. Embracing mortality can be empowering. It gives the opportunity to deepen the connections with those you love. It provides an opening for meaningful conversations, diminishes worries because what needs to be done and said has happened. Fear quiets, and there can be an acknowledgement of the joys and gifts of life. This is not easy work, but it's transformative. Death, like other big transitional moments in life, is a pivotal time for families. There can be great ruptures. There can also be a profound coming together as relationships are mended, connections deepen. I remember a first conversation with an elderly patient. She described her large family. She had many children who were close by, visiting and helping her. But she and her eldest daughter were estranged. Many years before, when my patient's husband had been ill for an extended period of time, her teenage daughter had been given responsibility for a lot of the household activities, including taking care of her younger siblings. She and her mother had had a difficult relationship ever since then. My patient expressed great regret as I quietly listened. In the next weeks, she reached out to her daughter and they reconnected. There was great relief among the other children that their older sister and their mother were reconciled. As a chaplain, I had sat quietly while she told her story, and in the telling, she was motivated to reach out to her daughter. That reconnection brought comfort to them both and to the whole family. However, sometimes family protecting one another can prevent communication. Patients don't want to hurt loved ones by admitting they're going to die. Family members are afraid to hurt patients by talking about death. In this case, a caring outsider, such as a hospice nurse or a social worker or chaplain or volunteer, can listen to the hard thoughts that are on our patient's or family member's heart. This can embolden individuals to look for opportunities for future conversations with loved ones. Now, Western culture does not prepare us to welcome death as part of our lived experience. It's hidden away. Where previous generations would have tended to their dying loved ones at home and laid out the body after death in the parlor for the funeral and wake, death now most often happens in hospitals, nursing homes, or other institutions which are removed from daily life. Children especially are shielded from the realities of dying as a part of life. No wonder we're in denial about our mortality. It takes work to swim against the tide of our culture. As an individual is nearing the end of their life, they may be in denial and find it difficult to have conversations or prepare a will, decide on burial logistics, among other things. And they don't want to hurt or upset their family and loved ones who may feel they're giving up. Family members, in turn, don't want to upset the patient by talking about death. Or there may be family members praying for a miracle, not wanting to face what is happening. And the third group who can be in denial are medical professionals, especially doctors, who've been trained to see death as the enemy and failure. Medical training is slowly changing, especially in the specialties of palliative care and hospice. But we still find in the system of people around a person nearing death, there are many possibilities for denial to enter the room. I'm often asked what the job of a chaplain entails. There's the religious component, which is what people usually understand. When I meet with someone, I explore their religious roots and practices. Are they connected to a religious community? Is prayer welcome? Being a Unitarian Universalist is great training for chaplaincy because we hold a wide net of different beliefs and can meet people where they are. But a bigger part of a chaplain's job is to provide a non-anxious presence and to listen to what is on the mind and heart of the patient or family member. This can take the form of what we call a life review. In an early conversation, a chaplain can ask about a patient's life, childhood, family, accomplishments. Patients want to know their life made a difference. Regrets and unfinished business can also surface. One of the most important tasks of the palliative care or hospice team is to make sure a patient is not in pain. Doctors and nurses address physical pain, nausea, and other discomfort, often managing the line between comfort and alertness. But chaplains have a role in addressing spiritual pain and can help facilitate important things that are left undone. The chaplain queries gently about unfinished business, confessions that need to happen, relationships they want to repair, last conversations, legacy and gifts they want to give. One patient wanted to leave gifts for each of her children. She decided to knit a bedspread for her daughter after she was told her chemo was no longer effective. A pretty daunting task. Her decision on which white yarn to buy was totally determined by how soon she could get it to start knitting. Chaplains can help facilitate conversations around funeral and burial wishes. I once sat with a woman and had a conversation about her memorial service, where she wanted to have it, whom she wanted to officiate, what hymns she wanted, whom she wanted to speak. She was Methodist, but often attended her daughter's UU church, so it was an open question about what kind of service she wanted. Her daughter quietly sat in the corner taking notes and was grateful that she and the rest of the family now knew her mother's wishes. At the end, the dying person wants to know that their loved ones will be okay. They need to hear that their family will be all right without them. Often a whispered, "We will be fine, you can go," is what a dying person needs to hear. What have I learned from doing this work? I have learned to say less and listen more. This has not been an easy lesson for me. I tend to fill the silence with words when I'm nervous, and these visits and conversations with patients are not about me, but about them. I remember a particularly important conversation I had early in my training with an experienced chaplain. I had had what I thought was a particularly good hospital visit with a patient and shared my experience with the chaplain. She listened patiently to my excited retelling of the visit and all the wonderful things I had said to the patient. Then my experienced colleague gently mentioned that perhaps I might leave some silence for the patient to sort out what was important for them. The next day, I returned to my patient and the dynamic was totally different. It took silence and stillness for her to open up about her concerns. I was humbled by the experience and work to this day to speak less and listen more. I have found being present with others during hard transitions in their lives to be life-affirming. I'm grateful when I can provide comfort. I often get to work with my elders, and that's a gift at my age. And I'm standing witness to the next phase of my own life whenever it comes. I am in awe of people and families that grow closer and wiser as death approaches. Sebastian Younger survived his surgery, but questions about his experience lingered. His father was a scientist trained at MIT and an atheist. Sebastian had grown up in an unchurched home, but his experience was so vivid in the operating room that he started reaching out to others who had had near-death experiences. He then studied science, quantum physics, the Big Bang, the nature of negative matter, looking for answers or at least spaces for the mystery he had experienced to be held. Some of my most profound conversations about death and what happens after have been with agnostics and atheists as they explore their curiosity rather than fear about death and leaving this life. We are confronting the great unknown. In theology, it would be called the great mystery. And so in conclusion, here are some things I've gleaned from my life and my work as a chaplain. Let people know how much they mean to you. Don't put off conversations that might mend estrangements. If you have ideas about burial and memorial services, it's a huge gift to children and other loved ones to let them know. Have gratitude for the small gifts of everyday life. That particular yellow-green of trees as they bloom and their young leaves come out. Wind on your cheek, spring flowers in bloom, the sound of your family talking and laughing, the smell of fresh coffee in the morning, a good night's sleep, the absence of pain. Be aware that you are alive. Death's approach reminds us how precious this life is. A hospice nurse shared with me a list of important things that people need at the end. They include, 1, the absence of physical pain. I would expand this to include emotional and spiritual pain. 2, the recognition of the value of their life and the good they have done. They want to know that they've made a difference. And 3, assurance from those closest to them that they will be okay when the patient dies. You are fortunate to be part of this caring community. You care for one another through hard times. You reach out and connect to one another. You show up for memorial services. You tend to those living with fresh grief and loss. Death is with us always. The mourning and sadness when someone dies is with us. But along with the knowledge of death comes the fragile beauty and joys of being alive. Just as all of us will no longer be living in 100 years, there's the other true thing. We are all here alive today. We get to experience more life and its joys. Blessings on your journey. Amen. Please join in the unison prayer, which is printed in your order of service. Eternal Spirit, earth maker, pain bearer, life giver, source of all that is and that shall be, Father and Mother of us all, loving God in whom is heaven, the hallowing of your name echoed through the universe. The way of your justice be followed by the peoples of the world. Your heavenly will be done by all created things. Your commonwealth of peace and freedom sustain our hope and come on earth. With the bread we need for today, feed us. In the hurts we absorb from one another, forgive us. In times of temptation and test, strengthen us. From trial too great to endure, spare us. From the grip of all that is evil, free us. For your reign in the glory of the power that is love, now and forever. Amen. Please join in our closing hymn in the gray hymnal number 411, Part in Peace.
Before us, praise our Savior, for
In this fragile world we live in, go forth and be present to life. Notice the joys and the pain around you. Be a comfort to one another and be comforted. You are the hope, and love and presence will make a difference. Go in peace. Amen.
We end each week's service by extinguishing our chalice. Please join in saying the words which are printed in your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, return in love.